Hey everyone, welcome back. Well, while the Indian bits and pieces are getting sandblasted and stuff like that, I thought I'd get on with something else. So what we're going to do today is start looking at this Sunbeam S7. It's one I restored about maybe 8 years ago, and it's just changed hands, and the chap who bought it had a couple of problems with it. He told me it had been stored in a garage with a dirt floor, and I found a bit of corrosion here and there. So we're going to look at the twist grip on it, and we're also going to replace the head gasket, and I think maybe one of the head bolts has been tightened down and maybe stripped a thread, and it's also got a broken fin or two which I'm going to repair. So there's plenty of stuff to do there. On the Indian, I have a piece of information. I think I put it down as being a 58 on the caption at the beginning, and I was looking at Hitchcock's website to see if the parts I needed were available for that. And one thing they had there was a whole load of brochures, and when I looked at the brochure photographs, I found that the 58 had a different tank. It had the tank with the bolt on, or screw on really, side panels, whereas the 56, and I think they started in 55, the 56 one had the plain tank with just the Indian transfer on the side. So we will modify the caption and say it's a 56, and I think from the looks of it they even had listed the Whiffletree handlebar levers, so I might be able to get everything I need for that and won't have to bother with chroming or making things. So we'll see about that. So let me bring you in closer, and the first thing we'll look at is the twist grip on this. Now, the first model of the S7 had a whole bunch of things that they did away with the next, the S7 Deluxe and the S8, and quite rightly so in my opinion. One of the things was the handlebars. They had this pair of handlebars with the, what do they call them, the clean handlebar design or whatever, and the idea was that all the cables run inside the handlebars. So from the other side the clutch cable runs in, this is the brake cable, they have the reverse type lever that would go, there we go, that would go in there like that and work this way, and also of course the throttle cable has to go down the center. So they made this, which as you can see is a tube with two spiraling out slots. There's a little slot in the handlebars here, and running in these spirals there's a little brass thing like that. This raised top part fits into the spiral, the bottom part goes in the slot, and the inner of the cable runs through there. Now what there should be in here are two of these, and the idea is when you twist it, I don't know if you can see that, that slides that way, so it's pulling the cable, and this one should slide this way, pushing the outer cable. Now I've done two of these, and in both instances I found that everything is so tight inside the handlebars that there's no way you're going to be able to push the outer cable. So what I did in each instance was I made another piece to go in here that just acts as a stop for the cable, and it works fine. It opens the carburetor completely, but it does make it a pretty big turn unfortunately, but at least it works. My only thought with this is that the original pair of handlebars I was given, they were a reproduction pair, to work from. The little outlets, I don't know, can you see that? Let's have a look. Move you around very slightly. There are two outlets in the handlebars here for the clutch cable to come out and for the brake cable and the throttle cable to come out. Whether the ones I was given, these outlets were larger so that there was more space for the cables, but I don't know. You've got two cables going round this bend, round that bend, and then going out through a hole, and you've got it crossing the clutch cable, which is coming over from this way. I couldn't get it to work. So as I say, I made this mod whereby instead of this one moving, that's just a solid piece. So anyway, the first thing that was wrong with the bike was that it wouldn't go over about 30 miles an hour, and it wouldn't do hills. But the chap who bought it said it started perfectly, the tick over was great, and it ran fine until you came to wanting more power. And I thought to myself straight away, I better know what's happened here. This thing, because it's been allowed to stand so long, has got stuck up and the throttle isn't opening all the way. So when he brought it, I checked, and sure enough, looked in the carb as you turned this was stiff, and the throttle only opened about 3/4 of the way. The slide just wasn't getting anywhere near the top. So I took it all apart. A, the carb was sticking, and B, this was sticking as well. So anyway, that's the thing, this strange twist grip. So we've solved that problem. The next thing is going to be the cylinder head gasket. So I'm going to take the tank and bits and pieces off, because you don't want to be bothered watching that, and then we'll set to take the cylinder head off. Now I will show you this before we go any further. This is one of the rubber mountings. Very originally, the first bikes didn't have any rubber mounting, and apparently the first batch that they sent out just shook so much they were sent back and they went to the rubber mounting. So there's several mounting points. This is one at the top rear, as you see. There's a plate here that's bolted to the back of the cylinder head. Then in here, on either side of this plate, there's a rubber snubber, and in this here, which goes right through, under this cup there's a spring. So it's rigidly mounted to the frame here, and then this part is on a spring, and for fore and aft movement, and lateral movement side to side is on these two rubber snubbers either side of this. So that's that one. So I thought I'd show you that. Also, you see this tank bracket here, there's a similar one at the front. Let me swing you around to show you that. There, as you can see. And you see the way it comes up. Well, when the bike first came, somebody had put that on the wrong way up. So instead of being down here, it was up here. And that raised the tank up, so they were having problems with the lower part of the handlebars. So their remedy for that was just to beat two huge dents in the top of the tank in order to miss the handlebars there, the way they came in. So there was two great big dents in the tank. Also, actually, while we're here, maybe we can see the two outlet pipes here. One here and one there. So that's one. As I say, whether this whole problem with the throttle cable is that the pattern I was given had these two small, and they should be larger or closer together to give more of a swoop for the cable. But you know, you've got two cables coming this way and out. You've got a cable and the wires from the dip switch, horn switch coming here. They all cross. I don't know. I think we have to be a pretty big hole up here with maybe just one big pipe or something. But anyway, they were made exactly to the pattern I was given. So we're just stuck with it. Here I've taken the valve cover off, which is just held on by 3 domed nuts on those studs there. It's just a pan. So you can see the valve gear in there. It's overhead cam, driven by a chain, and the distributor is driven from the end of the camshaft. I've actually unfastened this. It's just on that peg there. That fits into a hole in the top sprocket this one actually you may be able to see has been repaired at some point in time. Now, unlike most motorcycles that we're all used to, this one, when Erling Pope designed it, was very automotive. So instead of having a head and then barrels and then a crankcase, the cases and the barrels are all cast in one. So the head goes down on there and it's bolted down by 2 or 3 different sets of bolts. Some instances there are studs in the head which come down there, and in other instances there are studs which come out of the cases, and as you can see, hopefully in here, there are actually 2, it's a bit difficult to get at, inside there. So not only are they really awkward to get at, but of course there's always a danger you're going to drop them down the tunnel where the cam chain is. So there's the front rubber. It just literally sits on that. So what we're going to have to do also while we're here is, you can see there the brake on that side, and also let's walk around. There's a broken fin there. There's one broken one and there's a piece missing. That is just simply from people at some point in time prying in there to get the head off. Now the knack to getting the head off is actually to come down here and, oh, you can't see on this side, it's too dark. Let's go back around here. You see the nuts there? What you do is you slide a piece of flat, you can use a file, and as you untighten the nut, it lifts the head off. But you'll see that as we go along. Or you'll also notice that the Sunbeam is not a cross flow head. One exhaust port, the other exhaust port, and there's the inlet. So it's all on this side. And of course that means you've got the carburetor right in between the 2 exhausts. And then on top of that there's a great big aluminium air filter cover, which they did away with because it did hold too much heat in. So let me get some tools out here and jam some paper down into there so we don't lose the nuts, and we'll take the head off. Here we go with the first nut out the back. You see I've put little packing in, and what I also find is very useful here, God, that's tight. Sure somebody's been playing around with this. Is that what I like to have to hand, once you've got it like that, is a magnet. And then you can just pull it out, like so. And also it helps to get the washer off. Okay. Now if you thought that was bad, there's actually another one even further back. Let me see if I can reposition you so we can see this one. Now what I've done here actually is get a long thin piece of cloth, almost like a bandage, so that I can stuff it a long way in and then have a piece to pull it out, because if you start trying to put little bits of something in to get in that hole, there's a chance they're going to disappear down there. So as I say, fingers crossed. I don't know if you can see that nut, it's a long way in there.
Now it helps, Michael, you use the right size spanner. There we go. This has got to be one of those all-time worst pieces of design. You get your spanner in, you can barely move it. You know, it's a flat at a time. Oh, come on. And don't forget, we've got to be able to put this damn thing back in. Now then, what you can sometimes do, if it's loose enough, is actually, using your magnet, unscrew this. Nope, doesn't want to today. This is the reason, or one of the reasons why I had one chap here in the States who I restored one of these for, and he had it at another restoration shop, and all I advised him to do was ask them if they've ever worked on a Sunbeam before, because if the answer is no, there it goes, then anything could happen. God, this is so exciting, is it? Is he going to get it off? Is he going to drop it? That's why you want to be absolutely certain when you're rebuilding this that the threads are perfect, because you don't want something that's stiff to get on. You want this to be able to catch on the very first thread when you're putting it back on. As I say, as it falls off the stud, it catches on your little magnet. So we're going to undo this, holding the sprocket as we do so. Take that out. And then just pop a screwdriver in there, because the sprocket's going to drop off, and that holds it. Now I'll show you that there. You see this collar? I had to make that up because this sprocket isn't actually a Sunbeam sprocket, and the hole was bigger than the bolt hole, so I just made a collar when I originally did the timing and everything on this, because I noticed that it wasn't the right size. So we've got that done. Now the next thing is to get ourselves a little bit of wire, or in this case a thin welding rod. And what we're going to do is we're going to hook up the timing chain. Well, that's the plan. And of course the timing chain is sticking to the sprocket. Oh, bo, 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 bo. Let's try making ourselves a slightly different little hook on the end of this. Oh, come on. Now you wouldn't think that was possible, would you? For that to stick on there. There we go. Right, now we want a slightly bigger hook. God, Stroth. Nothing wants to cooperate today. So we'll modify our hook yet again. Maybe try from this side, eh? There we go. I'll get that. Pulled over the top of there. Come on now, come on. Like that. Now what we're going to do is take all the other head bolts out and we lift the head up until we can get at the sprocket, and then we take the sprocket out. Easy, isn't it? Okay. Now I've slackened off all the nuts. I've taken the couple of nuts off that come completely off, and the sort of vertical ones. And what I've also done, which I forgot to mention to you, is I actually popped the timing chain back on for a minute, took this little cover off, and you can see the flywheel and you can see the timing marks. Makes things a lot easier if you take it top dead center on the rear cylinder, which is number 2, because that's the cylinder it's got to be timed on for the ignition. So I've done that, and now we're ready to take the head off. And as I say, everything's slackened, but you see it's solid, and that's when people start prizing on things. Now there are 6, well 7 actually, but this one we don't use. There are 3 bolts, studs on either side, which come from the head and go down. So when you undo the nuts are going to come downwards. So what you do is you put a piece of flat, as it mentioned in the book from Stewart's. You can use a file on either side. You put it in there, and then what we're going to do is wind the nuts down. They go through little holes in there. When they hit on the flat, they're going to start pushing down, and it'll lift the head off. So let's start doing that. I did press the record button, didn't I? Yes, I did. I'm not that bad yet. These nuts are all corroded. So that's down on there. This inner one is sort of set in a bit, so it doesn't tend to catch on the cross piece that you put in. But we'll slacken that off as it'll go. You see again, it's all one of these, you know, 1/8 of a turn every time. You're not going to take a Sunbeam cylinder head off in a hurry. Okay, that's just dropped down. So, to start with, I'm just taking it down until it grips this. Put this awkward one at the front. To make it easier to get at this one, I can't quite see it, let me. To make it easier to get at the one under here, I've taken the front engine mounting out. It's a rubber mounting, it literally just sits on it. Hey. So we'll slacken this one off completely. Of course, your spanner here is either catching the frame or the front mud guard. Let's see, let me just tease that round or something. Yeah. Now. Rust and corrosion on this than enough. Slightly shorter spanner would help, but I'll just take it slowly. There it goes. Right, go to the other side. I don't know if you can hear it on the metal roof, but it's pouring down here. And it's going to keep pouring down for the next few days. And then I have my first trial on Sunday, and the place we're riding does not like wet weather. It gets very muddy. Alright, we're tight on this side, down against the bar I've put in. Give it a few turns on. It's not as if you're wanting to raise the head up completely. As usual, it's just a question of breaking the joint. And there it goes. Can you see that? It's where are we? There's the head joint. See, we can go in now. Still not loose enough to come up, but we're on our way. A bit more on the other side. God, it is stuck. Maybe I think because of this bit of a head leak, it's been tightened down a few times over the last few years. And of course everybody, well, either forgets or doesn't know about these nuts in here. Probably not the front nut either. But we're actually clear of these nuts, that's clear of that. There she comes. Let me keep waggling this till I get it off, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, let me zoom you out a little bit. Now what I've done here is I've dropped the sprocket and the chain down, and what I did was I could lower it enough to pull that out of there and catch it through this hole, and then lower it a bit more and catch it through there. It says in the book to let it drop, but I don't like doing that, so that's through there. And I've joggled and joggled, and I did not use a screwdriver when the camera was switched off. I just kept joggling it. Actually, the really thick gasket was caught here. It was sticking to the head face at this side, and it was sticking to the head face all round everywhere, but just along here where it was sticking to the cylinders. So it was, but as you see, there it goes. Whoa, look at that. What the hell am I going to do with this? Put it somewhere, Michael. I'm going to put it. Alright. Let me just wipe my hands and let's see what you can see. Zoom you back in and raise you up a little bit. Yep. There we go. Now then, this piston is a bit oily, but this piston, that is sooty. So that side, for some reason, is running really rich, which of course, considering we've got a single carburettor, is a bit odd. might not have been firing properly on this cylinder. And let's have a look now. That's just washers. Same there. That cylinder is looking sooty, this cylinder is just looking oily. So anyway, there's the head off. So now we can clean all this gasket face up. You'll see there's a stud here, at least I think you can see the stud there. Yep. There's a stud there, there's no stud here. And what somebody has done in its life is stripped this stud and instead of helicoiling it, doing a proper repair, what I find so often, they've just drilled it out to the next size and now it's got a, instead of a 5/16, probably BSW with that end of course thread to go into the alloy, it's now got a 3/8 UNC and they've just used an ordinary bolt. So I could make a little aluminium plug, threaded to 3/8, screw it in, peen it over a little bit, we'll Loctite it and have it drilled and tapped to 5/16 to match the stud there. We'll have to decide on that later on. But anyway, there's the head off without having to use a lever, and that is probably quite a long video, and I said to the owner that he could come along and watch us rebuilding this. So we'll switch you off now and come back to you later on.